We're live.
Hey everyone. Jenny, you want to start this?
Hi, everybody. How is everyone? Happy to be here. Do a live stream with Taj on his birthday. Today is Taj's birthday. I'm Jenny Winings, by the way. I don't know if people probably don't even really
I
know
was going to
me.
say that. Yeah, that might be good to say as well.
Okay, my name's
Yeah,
Jenny Winings. Taj and I met 7 years ago now in Square One. So we kind
I
of
love how you're
just,
rocking the shirt too, by the way.
yes, this is Taj's documentary. Have to.
Yes. So we're going to jump right into this. We were trying to get the comments off, but we'll deal with that later. Right now, got a lot to go through, a lot to talk about in general. And first of all, I'm not at home. I'm somewhere else, but I'm not going to say where I'm at. Uh, I am not going to mention something. Okay, there you go. But yeah, thank you guys for visiting this channel. I'm gonna really wanted to go over kind of what's been going on in 2024, the year of Michael. That
2026.
You're right. That's where my brain's at. By the way, I just want you to know that that was a legitimate slip up in general. What did I say? 24.
Yeah.
I shaved 2 years. I don't even know why 24 came into fruition, but 2026, yeah, the year of Michael, and so much has gone on in general. I personally wanted to do this live stream because there's been some stuff on Facebook, there's been some stuff on Twitter, there's been a couple of things in general, and I kind of wanted to address some things, but also, it's hard because there's been a lot of trolls out there since the Michael movie. Um, and I don't like to feed the trolls, but at the same time, I don't like to leave them just, roaming around spreading lies either.
Yeah.
So, Michael, first of all, in general, the the movie for me, personally for me, was so important, and not only was it important for my uncle's legacy, but just the stature of Michael Jackson and who he was, and all the people that have heard that he's the biggest artist of all time, or the king of pop, or the goat, and stuff like that. It was our time to prove that in general. And
Mhm.
if we would have failed, if it would have faltered, if it would have provided, and I'm not going to take cheap shots, but if it would have provided normal biopic numbers, um, they would have said, yeah, see, Michael's not as big.
Right.
Pick the country. Michael's not as big as in America. Michael's not as big in the UK. Or, oh, all those allegations must have damaged him. He's not as popular as he used to be. I mean, it's the same BS that they tried, and that's why the critics tried so hard
So hard.
to to sabotage the movie in general, and they can say whatever they want about it. What they did was sabotage it. They tried to sabotage it,
Mhm.
and thank goodness um, the fans spoke up, and the
Yeah.
fans said it's not on our watch. And I can't tell you how appreciative I am of that. You know, appreciate I am of Graham, of my cousin Prince, of Jafar. In general. I mean, I wasn't gonna let the movie die on its own.
Right.
My cousin put his blood, sweat, and tears into this movie, and he should, in my opinion, he should be nominated. I don't see anything that he didn't do that anyone else that would have been nominated did as well. And I think the reason even in the reviews they gave him a nod, but they downplayed how great he was,
Oh, yeah.
and
100%.
because they don't want, and this is just me, my personal opinion, but they don't want Jacksons to be headlines anymore in general. And Jafar's an example of another Jackson continuing on a legacy
Yeah.
and continuing on that narrative. If you notice, it's either or. It's Michael or Janet, and pick your poison of which
Yep.
one they're gonna either try and make a rumor about, or they're going to give props to, but they can't do both.
No.
And it's just, that's been kind of frustrating right now with this whole scenario, is seeing the amazement that Jafar did, and then seeing the lack of really when Hollywood wants to pick their darling, it's hidden, it's beaten over your head basically. And they're everywhere. They're on the cover of everything.
Right.
And it's so unfortunate that because they had egg on their face, I mean, and I'm trying not to, guys. I'm trying not to be biased because it's my cousin, but Jafar did a hell of a job. And
it's not you being biased. It's made history and then some in the past 3 months. It's not just because you're his cousin. Like, everybody saw what he did in that movie.
And that's why the numbers were so important. The numbers proved, like, this wasn't a fluke. This wasn't just the movie did decent. No, the movie broke records.
Yes.
And the movie could have broken more records if it didn't get yanked. While it was still doing well, it got, unfortunately, unstrategically, it got put onto digital when it still had so many legs, in my opinion, to go.
I agree. Hold on. They're saying my mic is loud, but I don't have a microphone, so I don't know what to do, but I'm going to put my AirPods.
Okay. So I think that was the frustrating thing for me in general, is that, that one of the things you guys will learn in general, our second generation, we're built differently. We've all grown up as Jacksons, and we've grown up into these lies and had to deal with these lies, and how we deal with the nonsense. We all have our way of dealing with it. Jafar, basically, in a quiet way, just, he put it all on screen, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't say anything about him. Trust me, if the media could have, they would have said something about Jafar.
Yep. They would have found anything.
They would have tore him up. They couldn't say anything about him. And that is the beauty of why I'm so proud of him as a Jackson.
Yeah.
Right. And it couldn't happen to a better Jackson or a nicer Jackson, a more humble Jackson. And I'm just excited. I'm excited because really his future is, the sky's the limit. And they're going to try and downplay him. They're going to try and, make it seem like, oh yeah, I mean, I've heard some things already where they're like, oh, well, it's genetics. He had it in him already, so that's half the thing. And it's like, what are you talking about? I could spend 3 years, 4 years, 5 years in dance class, and I would never dance like Michael Jackson.
Did you watch the hour-long behind-the-scenes thing? I know it was on Amazon if you bought it, but there's an hour-long.
I did watch it.
I mean, how can you watch that and not see what he did to get this role? I mean, yeah, like you said, he didn't just was birthed to Jackson and could do this. Like,
he encompassed Michael Jackson. Like, for me, and the frustrating thing about the media, and we'll go to something else soon after this. Whoever knew Michael during that time period. Yeah. Hold on. Let me see if I can turn the comments off, because everyone's telling me to turn.
We were trying to turn the comments off before this, but
because we're trying to get some people in here now, and it's unfortunate because I'm trying to turn the comments off, but at the same time, it's like I didn't want to be too long and wait. So hold on one second, guys. You're gonna give me 1 second. We're gonna try this again because I don't want to end the stream and then start over. So let's see. Okay, let me mute that. Let me see. Ooh, there is a settings. Oh no, that's for that. Dang it. Now you're gonna watch me just stare at a screen.
Do you want me to, or you got what I sent you?
The what?
I was gonna say I can reread, but I text you what I sent you. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's just that when I click on it, it doesn't go. It's not exactly showing settings or anything like that. In there. It's just showing that. Okay. Yeah. Oh no, I just did the worst thing I could have done, was just click off of the chat. Open panel. Let's see. Yeah, because am I even controlling this? Because we're doing it through another third-party program, so that's why it's hard in general to so please.
And yeah, I wonder if you can make people mods, because I'm like, can we get someone as a mod? But I don't know.
Well, for YouTube's different than for.
Yeah. I mean, we can just ignore. We can just ignore them.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing we could do, and probably the most. Okay, hold on. I did get to somewhere. Hold on.
Okay.
Analytics.
Sorry, guys. It wouldn't let us do it before when we weren't live, so we're gonna try to do it now.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try and get this. Because I don't want to, unless the actual stream itself.
Right.
Which is what it's kind of making me do with this thing. And believe me, when I see people's live streams and I see them kind of doing what I'm doing right now, it frustrates me. So please forgive me for this. Yeah, it's kind of stupid that they wouldn't have let me do this beforehand.
Yeah, that was weird.
Customization. Ooh, there we go. Live chat.
Oh yeah, that sounds familiar from something I sent you.
Okay, let me see if that did anything. Did it work?
Maybe. I don't see any new chats or any new comments. Do you see new comments?
I'm still panicking and still looking.
I actually think it's. Oh, never mind. Oh no, hold on. I think you did it. Sorry, everybody. Hold on one second.
We're almost there. Then we can.
I think it's good. I don't see any new chats coming through.
All right.
Any new comments coming through in the past, like since you just said.
Yeah, I don't know why they make me go through this. Okay.
Okay, so I think we turned off comments.
Yay. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Well, let us know if we didn't. Okay.
I think we did.
Okay. So back to the scheduled program.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
So the funny thing is with the Michael thing, it's like the media showed their card. They're very quiet, and then the trailer came out and broke records, and they tried to hop on the bandwagon, and basically because it was record breaking and all that stuff, and in general, and then they just waited, and then once they had their screening, that's when they attacked with the reviews. And it was unfortunate because it was so drastic.
Yeah.
Like, it was so obvious. It wasn't something like, oh, well, I just didn't dig the story or whatever like that. It's like these people were giving 2s and 3s for the movie. And they were so ridiculously overboard that from that, the public's like, we're being lied to,
Right.
Especially the more people that saw it, they're like, okay, now I know I'm being lied to because I liked it or I loved it. And the unfortunate thing about, critics in general, and I try to be respectful because don't forget, me, BG, and Prince, we had our own Film Family channel.
Mm-hmm.
And so we critique movies as well. So I was like, okay, I have to be, not a hypocrite and be fair of like, not every movie is for everyone, and certain people can see things certain ways, and let's be honest and let's be truthful. But when it goes overboard and it's just like a chance to attack something, and I say that because, and this is, trust me, it's not going to be all about me. Well, it is my live stream, but I was going to say
It's your birthday.
Yeah, and my birthday, so I'm going to take some liberties. But when 3T first came out in Europe, in the UK particularly, I'll never forget. We were in this big magazine, this rock and roll magazine that's pretty prestigious, and we were excited because it's a prestigious magazine, and we did this interview, and basically all the interview viewer asked was about Michael in it, which we expect some Michael questions because Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson. But when we got that magazine back and we saw what it was literally it was a chance for that reporter or that reviewer just to bag on Michael. It was like, I remember like the opening words were like, from the Neverland of reality, and the plastic surgery, da 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 da. Like that's how our interview started, was already attacking Michael and the Jacksons in that way. And I'm like, people, don't be so obvious in general. And it's like, it's kind of the hate that we have to deal with in general. And so, the fact that Jafar did so amazing that he kind of quieted everyone. And he really made people kind of feel Michael. And because the
whole world was obsessed with
I'm down. It's my cousin. I'm downplaying. Let me
okay, it's not my cousin. He made everybody feel.
I mean, I probably texted him and called him 1,000 times, telling him how proud I was and how thankful I was as someone that has. Because I know why he did it. He did it the same reason all of my cousins do something when we stand up for my uncle. We're proud of our legacy, and we're not going to let someone else, some rando, dictate it. And he did it the best way he could by showing who Michael Jackson was.
Amazing.
And the crazy thing about it is reading all these reviews of people saying, "Oh, they sugarcoated it or desanitized Michael in that era," and I'm like, you weren't even around. Me and my brothers were around. We were around for Bubbles and stuff. I'm like, that was Michael. Michael.
I was saying, like, because I've seen people like, well, they didn't talk about any of the, not bad things, but other things he did that weren't like good. I can't think of the words. And I'm like, what the heck did he do in the 80s besides that?
Yeah, he didn't even swear at that point. I'm not saying he swears now or will swear back, but that was Michael Jackson. And I say that because, one of my close friends, Johnny Spence, who some of the fans might know, I spent 4th of July with him, and he told me he saw the movie, and we just compared notes, and he was so amazed by the movie, and he was like, that is so Michael. And I'm like, if it was good enough for Johnny and good enough for me and good enough for all these people that are like, wow, that was Michael, that actually hung out with Michael back then, then why isn't it good enough for the critics who think, oh, that's a different Michael than was the Michael back then?
Who didn't know him, who never met him, who,
Well, it doesn't fit their narrative. And I think that's the thing. Yeah. And they're mad because their narrative, the family hijacked their narrative, and they're blamed it on the family, but it really wasn't the family. But no. It's like, oh, we got a different Michael, and it's like, no, you got the Michael that was actually that was the Michael. And it's not the 30 years of sabotage and lies that you guys have said, and we're not going to let you do that either. We're not going to let you put that in stone and keep that, because right now I can go and I can look up Amadeus or any other biopic movie, and it's still available, and I can still watch it. Right. So why the heck would I let you dictate what Michael's legacy is going to be for the next 50 years?
Yeah.
And they don't, and unfortunately, they were not happy with that, but it's not what they wanted. It's what the world needed, as I said in some tweets and stuff, because the world needed that. The world needed Michael. Michael was someone that united people and brought people together. That's what he was known for. That's what he wanted to do through music and through entertainment and whatever. That's exactly what this movie did. This movie brought people together into the theater.
The world showed up for it. Yes.
Oh my gosh. And people were celebrating. People were excited just to watch other people celebrate.
Yeah.
And like, that's the essence of Michael. That's who he was. And to the core, he was someone that was very charitable, which is
Yeah.
what one of the things I loved about what the movie dictated. No, don't get me wrong, you guys. You know, let's say that I'm 100% like okay with the movie either. Like, you know, on certain things that were portrayed, no one would be if it's about your life or if you have
Mhm.
certain things in it. But I'm a big picture person. I'm always have been a big picture person, and that movie did wonders for Michael's legacy, as we've seen
Yeah.
with the numbers of the streaming of the new fans and the interest of it. It's like,
And Moonwalk, the book, back at #1. Like, I never would have thought that was gonna happen, but
well, Michael has a magic to it in general, just Michael
yeah.
Jackson. You know, like I saw that through my kids, and people have asked, oh, what have I learned? I'm not going to jump through the questions yet, but people learn about fatherhood and stuff, and I've learned about my kids and the magic of Michael Jackson through that, and how the discovery factor of them discovering Michael. And Michael is just, there's a magic to him. There really is, to his music, to how he sings, how he dresses, how everything is added, everything. And the thing for me is when my kids discovered that, I had nothing but a big smile on my face, and that has never left in general. And I you know, I know the importance of the world of what that means.
Yeah. And we've been seeing these 3, 4, 5, 7, 8-year-olds, you know, and just doing his moves and knowing the songs and like crying because they're just finding out that he's passed away, and you know they think that they're going to see him one day, and everybody just like, I cannot believe I'm never going to see Michael Jackson. That's what I've seen a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's really brought the world together through his music. Just like he says in the movie, we can change the world with music. That really is what your uncle did, and he still is doing it 17 years after his passing. So it's incredible.
It's incredible, and you know, I have to remember what was important to him. You know, and I'm not going to say private conversations or this and that, but I do know what was important to him, and I do know over the years what was important, what wasn't important. You know, in general, and I'm going to fight for what was important for him.
Yeah.
In general, I'm in a very unique position and perspective, especially perspective, because you know I've been blessed to be part of the fandom too, you know, to be down there in the trenches with you guys in general and fight. But at the same time, I get to see certain things of what's coming down the pipeline, or what's this and that, or what fits in as a puzzle piece. And don't forget that, you know, the movie started being worked on in 2000, I think it was 19. You know,
like 18 or 19. Yeah.
You know, I know when my meeting with Graham was, and it was way early. And I'm saying that because this is something that was overnight, and this was something that was special. This was something that was crafted. This was something that had a lot of questions, a lot of stories, a lot of, this is what I want to portray, you know. And I appreciate Graham, because Graham really, he wanted people to know who Michael was. That was his one mission of that. And I'll say that he knocked it out of the park, you know, in that scenario. We took a little hit with my grandfather, but, you know, at the same time, it's like, you know, and we'll talk about that in a second, but big picture person. And everything that was important in terms of what I wanted people to know about my uncle, in terms of the charity and the innocence aspect of it, and the love and the heart factor of it was there. That's who I remember, and you know, and the laugh and all that stuff, and just in general. So that's one of the things why I was in the trenches with you guys, trying to get to 1 billion and getting to 1 billion. You know,
we got there. Yeah,
we got there. I was sleepless night. I'm not exaggerating, you guys. Like, I don't know why I know you guys are gonna say amen, because a lot of you were like this too, but there's something about that $1 billion number that we wanted to get to, and we had to get to Michael. and it was very stressful and traumatic. And I say traumatic because there's a lot of planning and a lot of things that were out of our control, like it being released on digital early. That was like a forehead slap kind of thing.
Yeah.
Thank God for Russia and Japan, for the latter part of coming through.
Yeah.
And making sure Michael got to $1 billion in general, because there were certain countries that did not promote well at all, and should have been higher. And then there's other countries that showed up and overperformed and did incredible. But what it taught me was that it's all about promotion, and if you don't have promotion, you don't have anything in that. Because the ones that I was like, oh, I guarantee this is going to do well here because he's, this is Michael, and this is I'm not gonna throw countries in. This is Michael, and this is da 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 da. And then I've seen the numbers, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
Did people even know the movie was out? So it really is about promotion in general.
It was promotion, and then I definitely think, because I feel like that Michael was one of the most rewatchable movies. That's what I've heard from everyone, even like people that I know here in Ohio that aren't fans like me. I know multiple people who saw it more than one time, and because it did bring people that feeling, that nostalgia, that joy, that everything. And I mean, that helped with the $1 billion too. And Jafar being the first the first actor to debut and hit $1 billion is
it's
crazy.
I like the word magical because it's been used in the movie and stuff, but the movie was magical. The movie was something where not only the rewatchability, but the fact of the matter that you left that theater feeling good, and you left that feeling either wanting to know more about Michael or wanting to go through his discography, or feeling like you missed out, and those things are priceless in general. And I can say, throwing a little nugget for writing history, that the movie did stuff that helped us out a lot in terms of things, because we thought we had to start, no pun intended, from square one, where we had to introduce Michael and who was Michael, and
go watch Square One.
And it's like, trying to convince people this man was who he was. And the movie did such an amazing job of making people feel that. Now that's not to say we're not gonna talk about that. I'm just saying that we didn't have to do as much retreading as we thought we were going to have to do, and it allows you to position it differently, because in my opinion, I always try not to pretend like I know everything, but in my opinion, Michael was a victim,
100%.
And so I don't ever like the idea of allegations. There were there were extortions, and there were and so my viewpoint as a family member, as someone that watched him go through some of the stuff, is it affected him, and how did it affect him, and how was all this stuff BS? So when I debunk stuff, I'm debunking it because it was something that was a lie anyway. It's not something because I'm trying to hide it or deflect it or anything like that. I'm bringing it up because I need to show that these people tried to bring him down because of the stuff in general.
Like what your hat says.
Well,
Facts don't lie.
Facts don't lie. People do. And we've seen that. And I say that because, my uncle would always say, and my brothers can back me up on that. And it usually was around Havenhurst, which is crazy because it wasn't Neverland. These aren't Neverland words; these are Havenhurst words. He'd say, "People are no good, Applehead. People are no good." And I was so young, I didn't understand what that meant, because I'm always bright-eyed. I'm always trying to see the best in people, but I can't imagine what he had to deal with, the betrayal, the backstabbing, you know, the people like Cassius now that are coming out of the woodwork, you know, those people that pretend to be your best friend because they want something from you. And once you can't deliver that anymore, there's no appreciation, no, I don't. It's not loyal. I don't like the word loyalty because loyalty makes it sound like you're lying or something like that. It's just
right, like you'll do anything for somebody.
Yeah,
that's not what it is.
Like, you know, and that's the thing with this family. Like, we're not lying because he's our uncle. We're lying. We're lying about the downplay of it. Like, because for me, I'm being a lot more nicer than I should be for what these people have done to me.
Oh yeah, your whole family.
The way that James. So I'm lying and I'm downplaying the effect that they have on my life and my kids' life. And I have to sometimes get more angry of like, this is not just affecting me. This is affecting my kids, their school, the parents at the school, and everything else. And they're ruining their lives in that aspect of it. Because I always try and see people for who they are in a good way, or I shouldn't say the grass is greener and stuff like that. But in reality, we tried to ruin my life.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't care whose life it was that he was, you know, his selfishness or James or any of or the Cassios, you know, the nerve of them. Seriously, the nerve of them in general. And if I could
be nice.
Yeah, and they're lucky we can't sue them, because if I could sue them, if I had any legal standing of how they ruined my life, I would sue them in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just so that they felt the sting of what it feels like to hurt someone. So,
but they're only doing it because they know they know they can't be sued by the family.
They just come out of the woodworks, and the Cassius are contradicting Wade and James. You know, it's like they're all contradicting. They don't even care if the story is true.
No, they don't care.
They just want, you know, to make money or to try and make money off of them in general. And so, and then I mean, I'll get more into the Cassius and stuff like that. They're I mean, this betrayal, you know, and it bothers me.
Questions about that?
Well, the thing is that everyone, don't get me on my soapbox, but everyone's all about our family. Oh, the family. Michael ran away from his family and stuff like that. It's like, it was designed that way, guys. It was designed that way because they knew they could control Michael if he didn't have his family behind him, you know, in general. They knew at the end of the day, his family wasn't going to let that crap happen to him. And so, you know, yes, oh, Michael's second family, Michael's this and Michael's that and whatever. Look what his second family did to him. You know, look what Wade and James did to him.
Yeah.
It's like, don't talk to me. And I'm talking to some fans, okay? You know, that are extremely harsh on my family. I'm talking to you guys in general. You know, you sit there and you talk about my grandfather, you talk about, you know, my uncles or my dad or this and that, you know, with no forgiveness. But then there you are, and it's like, that's exactly, it's like, these people that gave Michael all his freedom and all his love are the ones that backstab him. And not only backstab him, they divide and conquer. And I think that's the thing that, and I'm saying too much about the dynamics anyway, but I just know that it's hard because I personally, when it comes, my dad's passing messed me up, and it still has. I still haven't really addressed it. Twitter's a cesspool anyway, but you know, people were questioning, oh, why is my thumbnail or whatever Michael and not my dad and all that stuff? And it's like, because I haven't addressed my dad's death yet. Like, I literally haven't. I can't address it yet, you know, in my head. My dad is, I don't want him to be gone, and if that makes sense. he was
And
my.
if you actually address it, that means it's
I just don't want.
Yeah.
I don't even want to acknowledge it. Like I
Yeah.
did the same thing with Michael, but the hard thing is Michael's everywhere. You know, with
Right.
Michael, I pretended, oh, he's on tour. You know, for the first 10 years, I was like, oh, he's on tour. You know, but because he's flashed everywhere, and then because of leaving Everland and stuff like that, I had to address him being gone in general. But with my dad, it's like he was my future. I looked 20 years down the line, and I'd see him. Like that's what I knew I would look like. I was a twin, you know, and in general, and he was the backbone. He was the backbone of, and the only thing that saved me from everything was seeing the love that he got when he passed. That's what helped me balance it. The grief was seeing the love from the fans and the appreciation of my dad, you know, being one of the founders of. But what the movie did kind of is it introduced new fans that had no appreciation for my dad. I think the only appreciation he gets is that from the movie is that they've heard the story of how, you know, that Michael screamed out Cheeto during the Pepsi incident, you know. But that's it, and it's there's so many more dynamics in there. Hold on one second. Toria Jackson, I'm on a live stream right now, which means you have to go. Thank you. Because you have to remember, my mom met my dad. They were 14, 15 years old, you know. So my mom met my dad while my dad was recording for Jackson 5, like the hit song and stuff. So during Motown, it's pre-big fame, let's just say. So my mom was on those buses, those tour buses and all those other things with my dad in general. Because I always wondered, like, why am I special? Or why was my mom's relationship with Michael special? It's because she traveled with them. You know, that was probably like in a weird way, that was probably like one of his big sisters. Because if she was on the road with him all the time, and you know, the age, you know, difference of it, you know, 4 or 5 years, that would be like a big sister that she was always around in general. Because I was like, why am I special? Why is he holding me, you know, as, you know, with my mom and dad, you know, and there I am being held by Michael. It's because that was probably, you know, a close connection in there.
All I'm thinking about is that recording where he's like, Taj.
I love that.
Taj.
Yeah.
You're like, yes. Yeah. it's so sweet and so cute.
Well, the thing for me that I appreciate of that is because how do you show a dynamic that was, you know, so many years in the making, so many decades, me as a teenager, me as a 20-year-old, me as, you know, we had that bond, and that tape of me as a kid is already explaining that. That bond started as a baby.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the best way I can say it, because I don't want to sit here and fight for you know, be insecure and stuff, and fight for my uncle's connection. Like, I know how connected I was to him.
Yeah, you had it since you were born.
Yeah, I had it since I was born in general. And I think the thing is that, you know, it was special, and I knew it was special. I knew it was unique. And so I'm just so appreciative of it. But
I have to tell you, I went to your uncle's show here a year and a half ago, and I saw Tori from Invincible Jacksons, and she gave me this. Wait.
Oh, I can't see. Oh, wow. Oh.
It's hard to see, but it's
Yeah.
And I have it. It's just sitting right over here.
I love it. You know, my dad, when I lost my dad, it wasn't just losing my dad, a father figure or whatever. It was like my dad was always the one that believed in me first in a lot of things in general. And I'm not even talking about 3T and I'm talking about, you know, even with the project, you know, he allowed me to use his name so that I can get more investors and more stuff involved in it in there. He was deeply into this, because he deeply fought for his brother as well. And he
Yeah.
you know, as I've seen on YouTube and stuff like that, you know, my dad didn't take any mess about people talking about Michael
Yeah.
in general. He was a very big supporter of it, of fighting in general. And I always say, like, I had such amazing parents, you know, my mom and my dad, and that because when Michael needed us during the first allegation, you know, my mom was the first, you know, one to say, go fly up to Asia. You know, your uncle needs you. And we were there. And I will always thank her for that because it wasn't even a question. It wasn't even like,
Yeah.
you know, you might miss school or you know, you got to be back by. It was just your uncle needs you. You got to go.
Well, and it's kind of like now with your project that I'm sure we're going to talk about. You've always done it for Michael. You were always doing it for Michael, right? You've always wanted to be out there, like you said, with the fans in the trenches. But since your dad passed away, not that you weren't doing it for him also, but like now you're kind of doing it for him since he's been fighting for Michael. He was supporting you in your project, you know, and
I'm fighting more the legacy for the legacy, if that makes sense. And the movie kind of emphasized that too, because really at the end of the day, Michael, and it's hard for you guys, it will be hard for you to understand that unless you've had personal conversations with my uncle. He was all about the legacy. You know, that's why he invested so much time and energy into 3T. He wanted the Jackson legacy to continue and be strong in general. That's why I fight for it. And if otherwise, it's like, and so there's a little disappointment. And that's one of, I know there's a question coming in there, and I'll answer we're going to answer the questions too, guys. But the question of 3T is like, because part of it is by fighting for him so hard, I'm also dropping the ball on 3T. And that was something that he would be mad at me. He'd be mad at my, you know, in general, because it's sometimes you can't listen to him.
Yeah.
Because both are important, but he would ignore that crap. Just, you know,
do your thing.
Do your thing, you know, be your, and I can't do that because I've since the 90s, you know, when I was able to fathom what was happening to him, me and my brothers said, you know, we're gonna defend you. We're gonna always be there for you. And we didn't say it just to say it because he was helping us. We said it because we meant it.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be there for someone when things are going well. It's hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard, and character shows when you have to run into that burning building, you know, aspect of it.
Well, and you put, you know, and it's someone you love. It's a family. Yes, it's Michael Jackson, but he wasn't that to you. It was your uncle that we just talked about with your connection. And if anything happened like that with my family, where I knew like all this BS was out, you stop your lives to go help and support the ones you love, you know?
Well, I think that's one of the things that's hard is that people, some of the fans, they don't put things through their perspective of if this was their family, what would they do? And they think that why should we do something differently than they would have done, or they would do? It's like, why should my Uncle Marlon not be able to do a series on his father, you know, in general? Like, what is, you know, my Uncle Marlon, and I read a comment on Twitter where they're like, you know, defending Joseph, you know, but, you know, what have they done for Michael? And I'm like, what have they done for Michael? When Leaving Neverland came out, they were the first ones out there defending their brother.
I can't even read that stuff. It's so frustrating.
You know, and I was there with them, the first ones out there when everyone else was. Marlon, Jackie, and my dad, and myself. I didn't know why I was there at that point, you know, because it was different. Like, now I know I'm there, but back then I didn't know I was there. I was like, what the heck am I there? I'm like, they're the stars, you know, they're the ones that should be on Entertainment Tonight, not me, you know. But I had something to say, I guess,
Mhm.
in general. Hold on.
People always try to put themselves. Okay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. JL's with us right now. JL, are you ready?
Oh, is she
hold
coming on? I didn't know she was actually coming
Okay,
on.
hold on. I'm gonna unmute your mic. Are you ready to enter the stage? Or oh, I can't even hear her. You might have to add her. So JL, if you're not ready, just say it on the stage, because we're gonna keep this moving. I do have something to answer real quick before that too, but I'll answer it with her. Hold on. Now, all right. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Can you guys
Are
hear
you
me?
ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Hey, Kara, we've never met
Hi,
before.
Jenny.
Like face to
Yes,
face
like
or
with like
computer
not
to
face to
computer.
face, but we talk, like frequently.
Yeah,
Are you guys hearing me okay?
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, we're hearing you great.
Okay, cool.
I have one more thing to say, and then one of the things I want to do is I kind of want to talk a little about JL's book, but then I also want to get some questions done too, because I did say I had some questions to answer in general. Real quick though, I just wanted to dab again into my grandfather, because people don't understand this is family, and someone's experience might not be someone else's experience in general. And I don't know what they think we're going to do by letting, it's fine to let someone else say who Joseph is, but if we can say it better or more accurately, then we should. And it was a different time back then as well. And as many of the fans have said on Twitter, and I'm not going to call it X. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I don't call it X either.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be Twitter, because I still believe in the positivity. I feel like X is the gutter pull of it all. Like it's a gutter now. So I'm still have hope in Twitter and not in X. But a lot of the fans have understood the sacrifices of all the brothers and sisters and mother and Joe in general. When it took a village to make the Jackson 5. It took a village. Well, I can guarantee you from the stories I've heard, even prior to the movie, Rebe and LaToya would be cooking or laundry or doing something while they were rehearsing. Something was happening. It was a well-oiled machine, but it was a dream that all of them had in general. And I personally have frustration about life in general of only shining the star on the one that's shiniest in general. And I say that because you only see you don't see the behind the scenes of certain things and what it takes and the support that it takes from someone else in general, a loved one. So, a lot of people do, but in general, when Leaving Neverland happened, my wife was so supportive and had to deal with a Taj Jackson that no one else had to deal with in general. Not only that, my daughter was only 2 months old when it started. Right. And she had to not be selfish to the point of like, I need you here. I need you with me. I need you growing up with you, as opposed to me out there defending my uncle and being there for my uncle. And I always will appreciate that. Those are the people that I always like to shine a light on in general, is those people, those that don't always get the glory and always in that. And I feel like in general, the movie was great, but the movie really went quickly through the Jacksons and the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
And the springboard that Michael Jackson had and from that era, and the confidence that Michael Jackson had from that era. Because I can tell you, being there with your brothers, there's nothing like it in general. The learning aspect of it, going through it, the experience. And he even said when he was with us as 3T, he's like, you are so lucky. I got to do all this stuff on my own now. He's like, you have each other. And so I know he appreciated it still. Whether he emphasized that to other people is one thing, but what isn't hard is always the voting. It's like the majority rules kind of thing. That's probably what's really frustrating to him. He probably liked that his vote meant the most in terms of, so he probably appreciated that he had control of his destiny, pun intended, but missed the camaraderie and his brothers being there aspect of it. And both can be true. And so I think that's the thing that I will always fight for my grandfather, because I was there when he, on his deathbed, and seeing his kids around him, surrounding him with love, I will never forget.
You can watch the trial too, like in 2005. I mean, he was there like every single day. You know what I mean? He was there so much with Michael, in and out of that courtroom.
I can tell you that Michael Jackson, I got to be careful because I don't like talking for my uncle, but I do know, I didn't know him so well. His dad was a source of strength, always. Scary sometimes, but a source of strength, That trial, Joseph being there for his son at that trial meant everything. Just like the fans being there for Michael meant everything. It was both. Just like his mother being there for him meant everything. And because I can tell you, his friends weren't, and anyone that had something to lose was not there.
Yep.
And so there's that one shot of, Joseph holding Michael's hand, going up the courtroom. And I'll never forget that shot, because that show, it's kind of like, will you be there? His song, at the end of the day, when things are needed, are you going to be there for me? And Joseph, with the lack of call me dad and all that stuff and whatever, Michael realized he was there for him. When Michael had the most to lose, Joseph was there. And I think that my uncle understood that, and that's why he not only forgave him, but kind of appreciated him a little more as he got older. And I think fatherhood does that too. Parenting does that in general, because, and I'm not saying this just to say this or whatever. It's raining out here, so it's going to be a little louder. But I know for sure Michael made sure his kids knew Joseph and were around Joseph.
Yeah. And
that would not be the case if Michael did not want them to know Joseph in that aspect of it. So it's very hard. I understand. My dad completely said, Grandpa was strict. Grandpa was this, Grandpa was that. There's a lot of stuff that is true in there, but they also understood that they wouldn't have been there without Grandpa.
Well, and Prince has said something, maybe it was on one of the behind the scenes thing maybe it was an interview. Anyways, where he's like, like you're talking about generational. He's like, what my dad and my uncles grew up with Joseph, Prince said this, like, I call him Grandpa, I know him as Grandpa, and he was great to be around, and I know my dad and my uncles called him Joseph, and so it is different, but he said I was fortunate to call him Grandpa. So it is generational for sure on who you grow up with and what time frame you grow up with them, and what what you see. So
yeah, it is true. And so it's, I will always, Grandpa will always be Grandpa, and the pride that Grandpa had for the name, the legacy, I kind of, when he passed, I took it upon myself. I said, I need a little of this pride. I'm gonna still a little of this pride, whatever. And so I started wearing more like Jackson-y kind of things, hats or jackets or stuff like that, because he did build this legacy. All the family built it. and I am proud of it. And I sit here and defend it and fight for it when lies happen.
Mhm.
And so at the end of the day, I have to also remember it's okay to soak it up when the good things happen, like the Michael movie and stuff like that. Like, it's great, but
Yeah.
you sit back and soak up a little and appreciate it in general. And it really was a lot. I don't want to sound depressing or whatever, but a lot of these years have been very, I don't want to say struggling, but stressful in general.
Stressful.
A lot writing on the movie, but even before the movie, just a lot of lies coming out. Wade and James and then the Cassios, first the fake songs, but then deciding that wasn't enough money, and then trying to finagle their way in to other pocketbooks and stuff like that. It's been frustrating, and the hardest thing is there's always going to be people that believe it. That's the thing that we have to remember too. I learned about frequency, guys, and this is a very important word. I wrote it down last night, and I wrote it down. Michael vibrated on a frequency. Michael's music vibrates on a frequency. Michael Jackson is a frequency, and I have to remember, because one of the things is that I'm always about, I want everyone to know Michael, and I want everyone to know Michael's innocent and stuff like that. The problem is with that, and this is where the quote unquote mental health, I guess, commercial comes in, is that some people are just on a low frequency, and to get to those people, you have to actually go low to that frequency, and then you stay at that frequency. And I don't want to, like, that's why I said with the Twitter and the X thing right now, it's like I was in a low frequency with a lot of people that are no good, and I would not even want to spend a second of my life with, that just get pleasure out of being miserable and making other people miserable with them. And I'm thankful to the movie, because the movie actually, that's like, where's my high frequency people at? And I saw them. They were at the movie theater. They were they're dancing. They were over there, and a lot of them didn't even know they were high frequency. I've seen a lot of things on YouTube of people saying, why am I so connected with Michael Jackson, in this movie? And why have I seen it, 40 times or whatever it is? It's because you're understanding the frequency. You're understanding what, and I'll give Graham credit. Graham understood the assignment. Graham, every person on that set believed Michael was innocent. Graham made sure of it. That was important to him. It showed up on that movie. I really believe that, it's that energy of that movie was left on that movie. That's why there's people that will never get the movie. They won't understand it because they're not there. They're not at that frequency. They're the type of people, and I'm a horror fan, so don't. They're the type of people that will praise Obsession, which I loved, or back to
Backrooms.
Back. You don't know what I was gonna say. Backroom, which I loved as well, but they'll praise those movies because that's the frequency they're at right now.
Right.
You could be ready for both, but Michael is not on that frequency. Michael's on the frequency of uniting people, bringing people together in general. Michael's on more of that Spider-Man frequency of people coming in and leaving happy and like, smiling and talking. That's the frequency of Michael Jackson in general. So for me, it wasn't for them, or maybe they'll have to see it another time or another.
Yeah.
I wish the critics would have revisited and saw it again later on, and not expected it to be an allegation fest, but they just weren't ready to do that. But for those that did see it in general and appreciate it, it was for you guys. It was for that frequency, and his music just carries that on. It has that high frequency, and you understand. people on YouTube were like, why did I feel so good after watching the movie or listening to his music? It's because it was he designed it that way, guys. He really did. And I learned that lesson of frequency and stuff, and I also learned the dangers of not protecting myself and dealing with lower frequencies or miserable people, not being ready for it. So that's why I started blocking people more in general. And tolerance. Like, look, we can talk all you want, we can disagree all you want, but as soon as you're nasty or mean or call me something, blocked. Sorry, there's no like excuse of like, oh, whatever. So there's certain people that are like, oh, he blocked me. It's like, yeah, you called me, this, that, liar.
Why do you want somebody in your?
Well, I don't
want
even want to see
somebody
it.
be able to reach out to you? What you were right, like
Yeah, I don't even want to see it, or whatever. It's like, but there's gonna be people like that in general.
Yeah.
I mean,
JL, you probably get it a lot, don't you?
You know what? I was just dealing with somebody today. Like
yeah, I was gonna
it's
say,
like
don't open up.
Taj and I were talking the other day. It's like,
Okay. Yeah.
but I always tell Taj, like, you got to be a little bit meaner. Just be a little bit meaner. Just be,
I know.
like.
I know why he doesn't, but I wish he would just be like, I know,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's
So.
hard because I'm a Jackson, and that's part of being a Jackson is trying to not go into like the mud with the people. We can, trust me, we can, but it's trying not to, and trying to, because once we do, it's like I feel like there's gonna be more people that are like, oh, he's in the mud, let's go, that's where we're at and stuff like.
Yeah.
In general, I mean, they're waiting, and the sucky thing is, the higher my numbers climb on Twitter, the worse it is. It's like, so I don't know where the good people are at, but they're not, because of engagement and all that stuff. Now, you're not rewarded for positivity; you're rewarded for negativity, and that. I think, okay, Jail. So we're going to
It's this month already. It's coming out.
I
What?
know. I can't believe it.
podcast
I
out
can't
this
believe that
weekend.
it's coming out.
let's talk about what's coming out. So Jail has a
yeah.
book that's super exciting that's coming out this month, and Jail. How long have I known you? Not long, but how long?
We've known each other, what, 2 years? Going on 3 years?
Yeah, 2 years,
Two
and
something.
and
Yeah.
it's been I don't know why I was going to say something weird like that. I was going to say it's been a roller coaster, but it hasn't been a roller. It's been a pleasure in a way, because we've had to deal with certain things, and she's always been a great sounding board for that.
Yeah.
I reached out to JL because JL has kind of a magic to reach saying something and connecting with people. Certain people can do something or whatever, but it doesn't connect with anyone. She has a magic of, she can say the same exact thing and it connects with a lot of people in general. And
yeah, your articles are great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like, what is she saying that's different? But she just knows. She knows how to say it. She's so studied on everything, and she's so quick on everything. I don't understand. I always say, well, how do you sleep? Like, she always seems like she's doing so much. And when we were doing the Facts Don't Lie, people do kind of TikTok/YouTube stuff. I put those out on purpose just to get them out in the atmosphere in general, because the thing that we have to remember is that these things live on past of when we do them in general, and so it might be something that someone discovers now after seeing the movie, sees something because they hear about Wade and James and they're like typing it out and then come up with one of those things. And I think the book thing is just genius, you know, in general. And I wanted to ask you what do you want people to know most about your book in terms of that? Like, you have the floor for about 3 to 4 minutes.
Oh, that's
And
all
then,
I get to. I'm just kidding. Um,
I'm
you
gonna
know what?
tell you some other stuff too.
Um, that it's been 17 years in the making. It goes back to 2009. That's sort of when I started it. I can't say that I always imagined it being a book. I think a couple times like I played around with it, but I really liked the idea of it evolving, like just from articles to a book. It's also going to be a podcast for the people that like don't read or don't like to read. But my thing was like, just getting getting the word out there. And the articles have always been a free resource. The book, I was trying to make that free, but when you have to have a minimum price when you're putting it on like book places and stuff like that. So the proceeds are just, going to be going to charity. And, like I've been shocked to, like I wouldn't even really call myself an author or call myself like call this a book. It's just more so like this is one place, another format for you to have like the information. So and that's what it is, and it goes in order. It's been so much like studying and so much reading and so many things, like I think this was the perfect time. Because even maybe a couple years ago, like the Casios hadn't like that we knew about
Right.
that, like done those things. So like this was the perfect time that I really felt like to sort of I guess put it out. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I'm so excited. I text Taj the other day about this and I was like, I wish my brain doesn't hold information like all the court stuff and everything. I wish I could like hold that in here, but your articles and all the information that you have, it helps me so much. So I'm sure you're helping so many people.
I get all these comments about like just like the way that I break it down. Just trying to, I guess I was actually gonna say this because it comes out on August 29th for those that don't know. So that's Michael's birthday. So on August 28th, I was gonna say this, but I'll say it now. When it came down to like what I wanted to do, whether it was be like my career, it came down to journalism or being a defense attorney. So I was actually going to study law, so personally, and I went the journalism
That's
route.
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I went
Yeah.
the journalism route. And it's like I like this, I feel like everything sort of lined up in that way. And sometimes people be like, oh, well, like where did you come from or whatever. But it was always like I always from the beginning of my career as a journalist, stuff like I was always writing on Michael, like people have, but I was like, I didn't know how I was going to tackle the allegations. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make it into a book. I'm going to start with an article series because I felt like that was a good way to introduce people to myself, introduce to like the fan community. And I wanted like 100% control over it. That's kind of like, I just got a text like mention Decked Out because that's the website, that I started, the media company that we have some Michael, like advocates that really work on it as well. But, this whole thing has been about being able to make sure the story is told. There were like people from a publishing standpoint. I was always going to give the proceeds to charity because this is my thank you to Michael, like for everything that he's done, like with my life. But I did go through a phase where it was like, all right, well, maybe a publisher can help me do this. It can help me get the word out a little bit more, can do this. But they wanted me to cut things out. And when they wanted me to cut certain things out, I was like, well, I'm not cutting anything out. So that's going to be the end of that. And I'll self-publish and figure it out. So yeah, I mean, I've tried to check every box and cover every base that I can. And
When did you find out, JL, like in general? Because a lot of people listening right now don't understand. They think like the media or publishing or a Netflix or Amazon or whoever are Team Michael, or they're going to help us in some way or another, and they want the truth out there, and they're going to be hands off and whatever. But when did you realize that to tell the correct story and not to, I guess, worry about your integrity aspect of it? When did you realize self-publishing was only the route you could take?
I would say, I had a feeling like before, but I was like, well, let me just put a feeler out there. And, like, because throughout my years of like being a journalist, I had covered like different authors and things like that. So I have I know I have contacts at different publishing houses and stuff, and just kind of put that feeler out there. And, like when that feedback came back, like, okay, you have to cut this out. It wasn't just like, okay, cut it down, making sure. It was like certain things. It's like, well, if they don't know this, like it's gonna be it's gonna be important. I'm not cutting that out. And so, but I was always there's always like being behind the scenes, there's been a bias of Michael. And now that I'm independent, I can say that I had to fight some of my like higher up editors at that time to like get positive stories up about Michael. And it's like, if I were writing on another artist, or if I were writing on no problem. But I just, I felt like I had to go to bat. And I got into it with one of my co-editors one time. And I was like, well, why does it feel like I always have to fight you when it comes to Michael Jackson? And, like they brought up the word controversial. And I was like, well, so is this person. Like, if we're talking about controversy, if we're talking about somebody that's like, you don't have a problem with, I'm just going to say Elvis,
Yeah.
you don't gotta, you don't have a problem. You don't have a problem with this, you don't have a problem, so it's like I said, treat everybody the same, or I'm not going. That was what I said. I said everybody gets treated the same, or I'm not writing any of these. And these were like things that were bringing in high traffic. So I was, there's been a couple times where, I think I knew from the very beginning that I was going to probably not. I feel like I don't want to attack anybody that works for like a major publication. I think there's some great journalists. But even I don't know if you guys saw like the hit pieces on Tom Holland, like over these past 'cause it's like, what does Tom Holland do? It's like there's gotta be somebody who's being attacked.
Who's the father?
And somebody's and I think I was never okay with that. I was never okay with that. So
Yeah.
Good for you for calling them out on that, though.
Yeah. Good for you for calling it out, and good for you for knowing your power, knowing that you can do it.
yeah.
Without people, and I think that's kind of the hardest thing. I knew from the get-go that was my only option. Was I was not going to pair up with any Academy Award winning, person or whatever, or a Netflix or an Amazon early on, and have the integrity still, or have the say to make sure that my uncle's story is told correctly. And when I say story, I'm talking about, as I said, it's my perspective has always been, which is what we're dealing with now, is we're dealing with extortion attempts. They're extorting the estate right now. They're trying to get money out of the estate. Let's not pretend what these people are trying to do. Because if there was no money in the estate, they wouldn't even be, they'd be doing something else. We'd still be dancing, doing some chicken dance somewhere or whatever. So it's like, for me, it's all about, can we attach onto Michael's, the $1 billion estate and siphon enough money out of it in general. And that's why my frustration comes from the lack of being able to do something about it. I mean, as I said, if it was something where I could sue them, then that'd be great. Then I'd feel a little more powerful. I mean, I know it's not 100% sure anyway. I would love these people to take lie detector tests. That's the minimum you should be able to do.
I think cross-examination will cover that if it gets to that point.
Well, I can tell you that when it came down to the fake songs, they refused to take. Someone refused to take a lie detector test because Terrell asked for one.
Yep.
So that should be the bare minimum. I'm not lying. Here, I'll take a test. But when you duck that tells me a lot already. Now, I do know that there's chances that it could be beaten. Knowing Wade's, how I say this, I don't trust Wade at all. That guy
No.
will study every way how to beat that lie detector test. But if it was early on, he wouldn't have known. I mean, don't forget, this is the guy that was studying forums about going on message forums about abuse people and what it was like. So
Yeah.
it's like he's trying to play a character. Why I'm saying all of this in general is like there's this whole thing we have to think about, because there's been other projects like mine that have started around my time and still haven't been out yet either. And they're dealing with the same crap that we're just talking about right now, about changes being made, or can you add this or that and whatever. So it's like it's there, and unfortunately, until the media and until the world understands that Positive Michael is a money making machine,
Yeah.
they're gonna always kind of resort to a negative story on Michael, like the Netflix one. But
Yeah.
I'm so happy that the vibe is changing on that, and
Yeah.
people are not dealing with that the same. And so, saying that, I wanted to really quick, because we do have to go through these questions. But before these questions, I wanted to address one person, and that was Justice. Anytime we lose someone that's been in the trenches, per se, it's always hard. For me, in general, there's been, but what's hard for me with, almost said her real name, I'll just say AJ, is the recent conversations we had, about her being so excited about how the movie was performing, and in general, and us talking about Thriller Challenge, and this is good, we're gonna, we should have Thriller Challenge is gonna be so different this year because the movie's doing so well. And she asked, do you think we can get the estate involved this time? Can they finally help? And I'm like, well, I can't imagine. I mean, the movie's doing well. Someone will help us in general, but it's like, I think that's the bare minimum. We got to get the estate to help with this Thriller Challenge for her, because I obviously we want to carry this on for her. This was a dream for her, was the Thriller Challenge aspect of it. I didn't even do much. She would always ask, can I, can I use your name to do this and that and whatever? I said, what is it? And then she would tell me what it was. I'd be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that seems like a lot of work, but go for it. And she did. She jumped in there, and she would, the station head stuff and all that stuff. She would do all this stuff for Michael. And what people don't remember, and I didn't remember until someone reminded me, she was there for Sundance, for the Leaving Neverland thing.
Yeah. I just got chills thinking about that. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're going to make me cry. I know. Yeah. No, she was special. She was definitely special. And to be there at Sundance when we didn't know, when did we find out that was even going to be at Sundance? Like 10 days before or something?
Well, we were supposed to, a lot of people don't know that the family, the cousins, because I just talked about second generation cousins, were built differently. We were going to fly to Sundance and crash the party. Because, I will say, well, I don't think she will. One of my cousins had a friend that lived, near there. And so we were just going to stay there and go there. But then we chickened out last minute because we thought it might bring more publicity to it. And I think in hindsight, that was correct. Like,
Yeah.
they probably would have thrived out of the family boycotting Leaving Neverland in general. But I do know with what AJ was able to provide, she was able to provide summaries and kind of the first hint of what was coming from that, that thing, and I just, always appreciative of the fandom of Michael's fandom. It's so unique and different because not only do they take it personal, but they put their money where their mouth is, and they'll get up and fly somewhere, just like the trial and stuff like that. That's different. That's not like, oh well, I did what I could in general. It's like, and to be honest, Michael did deserve that. Like if I think of someone who deserves that, it is him for what he's done for people and helped people in general. So I understand it. I understand the reciprocal aspect of it. But yeah, I'm gonna be nagging people probably closer to Halloween time period of how we could figure out how to get this Thriller challenge successful for her.
Yeah.
In general, and also just to not forget her, her and what she's done in general as well. I think that's important.
I just can't imagine being at Sundance and didn't she say it was only like 2 or 3 people there? Like there wasn't a lot. And then seeing everyone come out of that and hearing everybody, and she just was there just supporting your uncle. And thank God, like thank goodness for them being there that day. So I'm so grateful.
The courage,
Yeah, the courage.
You're going to go somewhere and be looked upon and looked, down on, and in general, and always will be appreciative of that.
Yeah.
And let me get to some questions, guys, because I don't want to be here forever. I almost cried. Well, I did cry a little, but let's, I mean, it's like I get emotional. But good people are hard to lose.
Yeah.
They really are. That hurts me. Okay. All right. Let's see these questions, and you guys can help me too. Chime in. Let's see. What is this? Oh, great eyesight. What is Michael's legacy so important to you personally, and when did you feel you had to start protecting it? Oh, it's important to me, A, because I'm a Jackson, B, because he's wrongfully portrayed, which I don't, and with anything in life, I hate when things are wrongfully, the narrative is wrong and it's just out there. When did I know that I had to start protecting it? When I was old enough to know that they were purposely doing it. And probably like as a teenager, there'd be certain things that we would go to with our uncle, and then it'd be written in the press and it was written completely wrong. And we're like, wait a minute, I was there, and they don't even try and get it right. But I realized that for him, because he tried to rise above it in the beginning, it is something that I'm very protective of.
Yeah.
Because that movie, Michael, is more Michael than anything else I've seen in there of who he was and who he is in general. And it bothers me that mainstream media is trying to make it seem like that's far removed Michael. That's the Michael they never knew because they never tried to get to know that Michael. But that's the Michael I knew.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when all his friends, when Leaving Neverland and all those other things came out, all his friends that came out to defend him said that's not the Michael I knew. When they would see a Leaving Neverland or whatever, because that wasn't Michael. The the Michael they're trying to portray in the media is not Michael. It's a boogeyman Michael, but it's not Michael. Okay. How about you guys? That seems like a question that could be answered by you guys too.
For me, I mean, let's go back to, you know, the 90s. And like you just said, you just saw what they were doing. And, you know, I was in junior high at the time. So I was getting bullied and stuff for liking Michael Jackson. But then when 2005 happened, the whole fandom, it was different because everybody who was there in the 90s were older and we were able to actually go and support in person and be there for him knowing that he didn't do any of this stuff. So like I always said, I don't defend Michael Jackson because he's a good singer. Like I hate
that
I
bothers
know,
me
like,
more than anything.
I'm an
Like,
adult.
yeah.
I defend him because he is innocent. I don't defend him because he made Billie Jean. So it was nice. It was good that in 2005, the amount of us that were able to be at the courthouse and support him. So for his legacy, for Prince, Paris, BG, for all that. So yeah.
Nice. And jail?
I would have to say probably 2009, which is like when um I guess the origin story for the book. I just I always just felt in my heart that Michael was innocent, you know? Like I just felt it. Like this is, you know, like you're trying to make him this boogeyman, you like you say, but it's not adding up. It's not adding up with anything. Um and you know, he just seemed like he was such an amazing person, even, you know, but then y- I kind of like, you know, the summer coming back to school that year was, you know, the topic of conversation was Michael Jackson. And um you know, somebody had something to say, and so I was like, well, no, he's not. He was not that. And you know, they were like, well, you know, back and forth. And they were like, well, you don't know how somebody really is behind closed doors. And you know, like that's true for all, you know, like I mean, that is something that's true. So I decided then and there that that's how I was gonna like research the allegations and stuff. And when I really started diving in, I was like, oh my gosh, they killed him, you know. And we can't, you know, like nothing can be done now. I said, but it, you know, but it's like at least for his legacy, his memory, so he can rest in peace, for his children doing it, you know, like I was like, it has to be done. Somebody has to, you know, somebody has to do this, you know, like, and
Yeah.
you know, it's so many like moving parts, but I was like, I have to do my part, you know,
Yeah.
like this has to be known. So
That's great. Yep.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's almost like there's a call, you know, like call to action in there, and that is one thing I will say about you guys in general is that you don't shy away from a complicationness of
Yeah.
the Michael scenario, because there's a lot of bullying and a lot of, you know, the narrative is always like, why would you want to defend this, or why would you want to stick your neck out for this or this in general? And the truth of the matter is none of this stuff adds up, and it's not only that it doesn't add up, they just ignore it. They ignore the truth. Always, it was like the funny thing about the Netflix thing is like, you know, they're like, you decide. It's like, well, you know,
Yeah, that was annoying.
are you going to tell the truth? Are you going to, how are we supposed to decide if you can't even present facts? You know, and the frustrating thing, it's like they make it seem like we're going to tell this one side story and then we're going to let you decide. And by the way,
Even though it's decided in a court of law, but let's forget that even happened.
Yeah.
You know, like really.
Yeah. And even though you can probably see all the court transcripts and know that we're lying, but we're going to stop, you know, before you know, we show you that. You'll have to do your own homework to understand that. I personally, I've used that word personally in this live stream, I think 4 times so far, decided not to call my thing a docuseries or a documentary anymore, because I just don't like the word documentary or docuseries. So I've just to call it a series, because a series has freedom to it. A documentary used to have rules. A documentary used to have,
Mhm.
you know, integrity. But since it doesn't anymore, I don't want to be associated with that, because
Yeah.
me being a Jackson, I'll be limited to all those things. In that, and then they'll put me through those rules and say, "Oh, he wasn't objective. You know, it was only his family and friends and people that knew him best." But I've always looked at my project as like, that's what makes it unique. It's like you're getting to know what happened to Michael, and through Michael's perspective of his lens and the people that knew him best, the people that were actually around. Like, I want to know that over people that are, that read about it 20 years later, and that are telling me a story of how Michael acted. Like, that's why when the Michael movie came out, I only cared, the opinion I cared about were the people that either never knew Michael, and when I say never knew, like never knew anything about Michael, or the ones that knew him and had gone to Havenhurst and hung out with Bubbles and hung out with Michael, because I wanted to know how they felt about that movie. And I can tell you from the people that saw that movie, that was around at that time period, it meant something to them. It was sentimental to them.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Oh, sorry. This one's probably just for me because it talks about my family. How's your beautiful family? They're great. They're running around right now, making noise. Happy for Dada's birthday. And how has the making, release, and post-release of Michael been for you? And you can tell my eyes. Sorry. And has it influenced your work on writing history? Oh, yes. So there was people that know me know that internally, I originally wanted to get writing history out before the movie, as kind of like, I'm going to answer the questions before the movie comes out. There was a concern, an internal concern, that writing history, I'm trying not to tell too much where I get in trouble, but writing history could possibly get confused with Michael, the movie. Now, people are going to look now in hindsight and go, there's no way Michael's Michael, the movie Michael. But that's because they were both from family, let's just say that. And don't forget, at that point, there was something about my thing coming out and all that stuff, that there's just some concern about that, especially when you have spent $155 million on a movie. You don't want people to be confused about, one movie versus the other movie coming out in general. And I personally didn't see it. I was like, there's no way. The people aren't that dumb, and whatever. But as I was watching some of the Twitter stuff, I had to admit to myself when people said, Taj, is that the movie you're doing? And I was like, okay, people are that dumb. And I don't mean that in a mean way, even though it sounds mean. It's just people don't check in on Twitter every day. People don't know what's going on every day. So when they hear something and they hear something 2 months later or a year later, they just assume it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to check my ego, which was hard at that time because I was like, screw it. My thing, and it is, my thing is super important. I've always believed it's important. And I've always said I'm not stopping until, no one's going to force me to stop. That's why, like, I'm literally the only one that can stop my project. But I had to check my ego at the door, and it was helped by my cousin starring in the movie, where I was like, this is for Michael. Like, this movie, if it doesn't do well, and not like I had the power to make it not do well, but if I didn't put my heart behind it either, I'd feel like I was not helping my uncle either.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd say, okay, I'll agree to not talk about, start, whatever, do my project, because I didn't want any conflicting things. I think now people can tell the difference. People are smart enough now to know the difference. Like if I started saying, "Hey, writing history," people would be like, "Oh, that's not the Michael movie."
That's his thing.
But back then, it was. Don't forget, wasn't even the trailer out yet. That was a time that I had to say, "Okay, this Michael movie." First of all, Jafar is killing it, and this Michael movie is. If I want people to understand my uncle, this is a great gateway to that aspect of it. And I don't want to stand and I don't want to be anywhere close to a reason why it didn't do as well as it did. Now, it did $1 billion, something. Very happy. That's why I also was very stressed because I had a lot of writing on it. I really did. It's for my uncle, in general. So, yes.
Well, and one thing though, okay, so we talked about how long it took them to make Michael. When I was on set in May of 2024, Graham told us in the trailer that he had been working on it for 7 years already. So that would have been 2017. And they had a budget of $155 million. And it took them 7 or 8, well, until it came out, it took them 8 or 9 years. And they had a $155 million budget. So what people don't understand is not only did you start yours and then COVID happened, and then the movie was happening. And like you were just saying, you didn't want it. You wanted that to be, its own thing. But even for a $155 million budget, it's taken years. So it takes time. And you want to make sure that yours is exactly how you want it,
Well, important things take time in general.
Yeah, right.
And I say important things take time because at the end of the day, if I just wanted this out, it could be out. But it won't be good. It'll look like, ooh, I didn't want to say this word, but it'll look like it was fan made, and fan made. The hard thing is fan made sucks now because Michael Jackson has some, and everyone's a fan of Michael Jackson. So fan made is not, I think fan made is a diss that I should say in terms of quality wise, in terms of not. There's an oomph about it. I want this to look like better than anything they've seen on Netflix about Michael Jackson or anything they've seen on Amazon about Michael Jackson. Michael deserves that. I've always said I want it to be something that I could have showed him proudly by my side and been like, Uncle Michael, I did this for you in general. So that's the criteria that I personally have. So I'm not walking around with an iPhone or whatever. It can be done because if you're only care about content, yes, that's important. But that's not the world I'll be judged in. I won't be judged just by content. The Michael movie wasn't judged just by content. The Michael movie had to look like $100 million movie. If it looked like a TV movie, then it would have been crucified. So we're just at different judgment levels in that, and thank God most of the fans have understood that at the end of the day, people forget how long something has taken, but they don't forget how bad or good it is.
Yeah.
And I've always said this writing history is about cementing his legacy. It's for all the new people and the old people, but it's cementing his legacy. It's for decades down the line. It's not just for now. It's not just to answer, the Netflix thing or whatever. Let's answer that now. This is for when they try that BS 10, 20 years from now, people are going to be educated and people can go, oh, no, good try, but this, and this from writing history. And so it's hard.
It'll be good.
I've taken my time, but that's a Jackson thing to do. I mean, Michael took his time on his albums. I don't want to be famously late like he was, but at the same time, I did concede to certain things. I did check my ego at the door for certain things, but I also learned a lot, and I also learned where my my avenue is in terms of things. When the state wasn't allowed and the movie wasn't allowed to address the allegations, and they had to scrap all of that stuff, that was something that writing history became even more important because, something that I was like, oh, okay, well, we're both going to address it, but, I'm going to go probably a little more into it. Now it's like, oh, no, I'm the one that has to do all of that. Rightfully so. I mean, I'm happy to, because I think it's better in and I'm not going to say documentary, but better in a series anyway, where you can take your time and do it right.
Yes.
And, but I don't like the word allegation anyway. So, like my whole thing is my uncle became a target, and my uncle was extorted, and my uncle was, whatever angle you want to look at it as, I'm looking at the angle of being there and seeing what he had to deal with in general. And, I saw on Twitter, there was this quote about Michael, 40 or 60, between 40 and 60 times a year he was extorted or whatever. I don't know if you guys saw that. Michael Jackson was used to getting extorted or allegations of extortion.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And I can tell you the difference between the Chandler one and the others was that it grew in popularity, like because of the tabloidy TV shows and stuff like that, the hard copies and the current affairs. They kept it alive for almost a year, and it grew because originally no one believed it, but they and the tabloids kept that story alive to the point where it started gaining momentum. So Michael, and this is what I think, he thought he had enough goodwill from the people that understood him and knew him to be like, why would they believe this of me? I would never do this. Yeah. But he underestimated the greediness of the tabloids and sensationalism, where if you every night kept pumping that same story, then and it gives birth to those tabloid creatures, then people start believing it, and then you do have to kind of address it in general. And I think that was not his downfall, that was his fault, because he was out of the country and he didn't understand why people would believe that of him. And I didn't either. Okay. Let me see let's go to this way. What challenges did you face in the process of making your docu-series? Well, it's series, not docu-series. Fighting for Final Cut, fighting for integrity, fighting for my uncle's legacy, fighting for that I'm not going to let someone else dictate what my uncle's life was in general. I think that's it. Just walking away from a lot of money at times when you need it. I think that's always a good challenge is when it's not walking away from something when it's like you have options, walking away from something when it's like people throw money at you and you need it, and because your life can change. But then it's like that's where integrity and that's where legacy and all that stuff comes in general.
And I think when yours comes out, it'll make people realize why it's taken so long, because like you just said, people are ready to give you money, but who knows what they would do with it. And you want to be in control. And I think we'll be able to see it, we'll be able to see it and tell right away.
There's no way I would let someone edit freely writing history after it's done. Like there's no way, because that's where people become sneaky, and that's where people change the story and the narrative and everything like that. That's, you can do so much in the editing of that you have to just be careful. Just because you filmed everything doesn't mean that the story's told. Story is told once through the writing, once through the filming, and then once through the editing. So it's like you have to know that, and you have to know, especially for my uncle was where a lot of people are taking liberties on his narrative. We're seeing a lot on YouTube. People freely just making up stories about my uncle fighting Tupac and all. It's just like, some of it's entertaining, but we got to be careful because those become, those things last forever.
Yeah.
If not debunked to some point or another. And so there is a lot of falsehood in there. And so it's one of the things why I'm taking pride of cementing this legacy in general and what's real and what's not.
Well, and I think once yours comes out, it'll be like that will be the go-to for people to watch and learn. And like you just said, the movie couldn't talk about the extortion, but you can or will, or and I just think a lot of people will be happy to be like, hey, go watch this series.
The things that changed my uncle in terms of hurt him, I do want to talk about, obviously. Yeah. Because that changed him. That changed his trajectory. There's a lot that changed in his life. And I don't think it's fair that my family's the scapegoat for all that in general. There's a lot of people, a lot of bad people that have hurt him and or reason why he's not here anymore in general. Okay.
Yeah, and I always said, just wrote one last comment. People talk about the second Michael movie or whatever, and they're like, well, can they show the allegations? I'm like, but that was such a big part of his life. I think the world needs to see what he went through and how the world treated him and how, like you said, that affected his life so much.
Well,
I really want the people to know what.
Jenny, that's why I don't want. That's why I don't like the word allegation, because allegation.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying that's important to me because it makes it seem like there's a question to it. Like he did something. Right. He got extorted, and they used an allegation to extort him. Basically, is what it is. Because at the end of the day, there's no proof of it at all in there, and there's more. From what we know in the world right now, there's more proof that he was extorted, and there's more proof that the basis of the allegation is totally false.
Yeah. So I just want people to know the hurt that he went through and the pain that he was going through. And
it destroyed him. I mean, the thing is, to be honest, he'd be alive today if he hadn't dealt with an allegation. You took the worst thing that you could take, something that people don't understand is that he was inspired by youth and inspired by children. Like, I mean, he has said it in terms of that, like the innocence of a child in terms of something that now I get and I understand this question coming up, but about fatherhood and stuff like that. I'm blessed to have 3 kids now, and I'm blessed to understand my uncle better because of my kids and just the beauty of them, the beauty of how they look through life and how they don't understand certain things that we get corrupted by in general. Like, Daddy, why can't I help this guy on the street? Or why are we walking past him as opposed to helping him? That's a great question. You want to tell your kid, like, great question, because I'm scared and society says I should be scared. And, unless I have the means to go and change that person's life, I don't want to interfere. And that's wrong, and I wish I had more resources to do certain things, but kids are innocent and they think like that, and I've learned so much from my kids of listening to why can't we do this or why can't we do that or why do we do this, that aspect of it. So Michael had that frequency that he understood that. He understood that looking through a child's eyes and through a child's mindset is magical, but also powerful. Because okay, sorry, we're I think there's like, yeah, we're trekking through. You guys okay for time, real quick?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. What message do you hope younger generations take away from Michael's story? I personally hope that they're inspired. I love the message of trying to change the world, wanting to change the world, and he says, I believe that. I think being a change maker in general, I think that's one of the things I appreciate of my family, is that we try to make people happy. We try to make people united. We try to bring people together. And we know in some way, whether it's through our music or entertainment, that we can do something like that. I love performing as 3T or with my brothers as 3T, because I know I bring people a smile on their face when I perform. And I know that day is a good day for them and a good day for me, because I feel that. So yeah, I would say with the younger generation, I hope that they get the Jackson message, because I do believe it's a brand. I do believe Jackson is a brand, and I think the media has done such a great job of trying to destroy that brand. But we're a brand, and we're a positive brand, and I think the second generation is going to remind people very soon that there's way more of us than they even thought there were. But we are a brand, and we are going to make sure that that people don't forget that. So, what do you guys have an answer for that? I don't know if it's something for that.
I would say the young, I mean, it's true though. It's like Michael has fans that aren't even born yet. But TikTok is such a, like they're so pro Michael, like the young kids and the
Incredible!
teens
It's
and all that
incredible.
stuff. Um, the funny thing is my 16-year-old sister, I guess she would be Gen Alpha. She started like talking to me like, "Oh, do you know this?" She asked me. She was like, "Have you ever heard 2000 watts?" I was like, "Do you know who you're talking to here?" Like, like she's trying to school me now, but I mean, I'm like, "No," I said, "I was here before you." Like I was here before you,
Yeah.
but no, but the new generation, the kids, like they love Michael, they fight for Michael, and I think they're growing up. I hate to bring up the Tom Holland example again, but so many people stepped in when they were like, "No, you're not gonna do that. You're like, this guy bothers nobody. You're not gonna drag him." Yeah, because they were
Yeah.
trying to say that 30 years
Yeah.
old is too old to play
Oh, I saw. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Spider-Man. And so many people, and I think people are recognizing like, okay, you did this to Michael, you did this to so and so, you
We're
did
not
this
going
to
to
so,
let you do
like
stuff.
you're not like no more, and that like you're not gonna do it to the younger generation, but it's gonna stop. With the people that you have done it to, the people that you have affected. And,
Especially like
like,
people like that don't deserve. And I don't want to say don't deserve it, but just like what have they done to
Like
deserve
they've done
it?
nothing. They've just
yeah.
had
Yeah.
people coming at them for nothing.
Like like I can understand if they had were a mean person or whatever, but Tom Holland, and he's like,
There's nobody.
his father's nobody. He
There's
seems like a
nobody.
pleasant guy. But whatever. You know, happily married man that's just like in love, and and why would you even want to attack someone like that? Like,
But but you know what? Not like to the point of, I would say, like, okay, they can actively, like, he's called out Hollywood, and he makes it clear
well,
that he
that's a
thinks,
good point, because as soon as you started that, I was like, he doesn't play by Hollywood rules, and he doesn't
yeah.
like Hollywood. He
And
doesn't
he's
like
made
that
it
world.
100% clear that he like it, his career is where it begins and ends. Like that's he don't no parties, like no nothing. He's going back to London until it's time to work again.
That's
you
interesting,
know?
though. I'm not comparing him to Michael, but when people become something that where they don't need the industry, and they don't need the machine behind them pumping them, because they have it within themselves to create that. It frustrates people, and that when Michael became the music industry and didn't need, Sony to. They tried not to back his music, but people were still buying it and whatever. And I think with the Spider-Man aspect that we just see now, it's like Tom Holland has proven that he brings people into the theater, and him and his crew, they bring people into the theater. I think he has I forgot the top 3 openings or something. It's
4.
ridiculous.
I just read it yesterday. Top 4.
Yeah, I want if you know about me, I told Brandy this with the Wade thing. I always underplay my cards. I felt 4, but I was like, let me say 3 just so that I don't say 4 and be like you're over exaggerating. But yeah, I had.
It's just the whole being on top. Once you're on the top, like his movie just hit $1 billion in 3 days. Once you hit the top, that's when everyone comes after you, and
he's happy. He's not out there freaking.
Yeah.
Running down the street naked trying to get publicity, whatever. He doesn't need it, so it's like, it's just, yeah, so good for him, good for Spider-Man, and that's another important thing for writing history, not Spider-Man, but the whole idea, because people will always tell you, and I never believe in any of this stuff, superhero fatigue, it's super, everyone, it's like, no, you just, the right thing hasn't come along. People are wanted, as people have proved now, people are willing to go see a superhero movie. It just has to be the right one for people to go see. Because literally $1 billion worth of people saw it. So, but you listen to the experts, you listen to the industry tell you, oh, don't make superhero movies. They're not, they don't sell anymore. And I didn't like that about I thought the Michael movie was so much bigger than a biopic. That's why I don't like the word biopic. Mm-hmm. It was it was an event. It literally was something that became an event that people would go to the theater and see and experience. But it was shackled by a biopic. That's by its label in general. And that's why I don't like labels, because it's like, oh, biopic shouldn't be this. Biopic should be this, and this, and that's it. And so that's why I fight so hard for the docuseries / documentary label, because it's like, I don't like that label. Just like Michael didn't like, music videos as a label, like short films. Yeah. I don't like being labeled. I don't think Michael deserves to be limited for what the importance of this is. So, okay, sorry. Focus, Taj. Focus. Okay. What is the most important thing you have learned? From your father and your Uncle Michael? Money doesn't grow on trees. That's what my dad used to always tell us as we were little. You have to work for it. That was another thing. My dad instilled in us that nothing's going to come easy in there. What else did my dad teach? And a lot of that's through baseball as well. My dad taught us baseball and coached our baseball teams. So he taught us teamwork, and which I think in this world, I think it's kind of important, is relying on. Yes, you can be self-sufficient, but if you go through life just not caring about anyone else or not thinking, oh, I don't need anyone else, like baseball teaches you that if you have a team and you have a right fielder that can't catch the ball, he's going to hurt you one day or another, especially probably on that championship game when the ball's hit to him. So you better make sure that you uplift everyone, and that everyone knows how to catch, everyone feels confident and whatever, and you're only as strong as your weakest player, and that right fielder, lo and behold, on that championship game, can make a championship catch and win it for you. And I always loved that about baseball, and so I've always been a team player in that aspect of it. That's why I take pride in it. But that's what my dad always taught us. That, and baseball is a game where you never give up, because you come back from behind and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. My uncle, was someone that I learned from example. He was always the one breaking glass ceilings or saying, telling us you're going to have to work twice as hard. Or no, 3 times as hard for 3 times as hard for half the credit. He just said, "Watch." That's and he did. That's what he had to do his whole life. I mean, if this wasn't Michael Jackson, this movie, it would be plastered everywhere. It would be an example of a study of greatness. And Jafar would be plastered everywhere, and Jafar would be questioned about how did he do this and what was it like this. And it's like there's something about that Michael brand / Jackson brand where it's like they don't want to give the credit to what it is or what it's accomplished. Or, I mean, Michael, look at this now. And we saw this, and some fans were very astute to it. The record-breaking aspect of 2026 in the movie theater and all that stuff, and how they tried to kind of, even though Michael was a big part of that, they tried to kind of bypass and kind of go quickly past Michael, as in like, oh, this is where it really started. It started with Obsession and Toy Story and all that stuff. It's like, no, you start where it should start, And I don't even mind Hail Mary, because Hail Mary was decently, but Michael was the $1 billion one. Mm-hmm. Michael was the one where it brought people to the theaters that hadn't been in 20 years. That's, if you want to know who did that, that was Michael Jackson who did that. Who brought all different demographics to the theater. And that was Michael Jackson who did that. Let's give him his credit. And they're not going to give him his credit for that. I pray they nominate Jafar. They might not, because, another Jackson succeeding in their industry that they kept Michael away from is probably not going to happen. That's why I'm proud Jafar's going to succeed without them, And then, so I'm not expecting help. Even with writing history, I'm not expecting help from the media. I'm not expecting help from the people that I call out, like Deadline and Hollywood Reporter and all them. Call them out all the time, and I'm not expecting them to help promote it. So I'm going to have to do that myself, or we're going to have to do that as well, because anything positive on Michael, they're not going to promote it. And so
we got you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you also have to look. That's part of Plan B too. There's always that thing, and you have to always be ready for that as well. I know I'm on my little soapbox. Okay, what is it? So yeah, I think through my uncle, just the credit aspect of it, just the lack of credit in general, and that's one of the things I just want to make sure with Jackson 5 is like that they're not downplaying to the point. I mean, they were a phenomenon. They were. I mean, they have a Hollywood star. They're the youngest, rock and roll Hall of Famers because they were a phenomenon. My dad was 15 years old when he was touring around the world playing Motown lights. Jermaine was 14. That is a rarity. And Michael was 9. That's a rarity.
And you will be able to hit on all that, especially being a family member,
Yeah, well, it just sucks because it's like if I saw any other family or any other person that was 15, 14, 9, 10, it's like I'd be like, wow, there's something to them. There's a magic to them. But our family, it's like, oh no, let's forget about them. Let's focus on Michael only. Michael was it's like, the Jackson 5 was magic in itself. And then there's the thing of like, members of the family were executive producers of the movie, and it's like they don't say anything when the Elvis movie comes out and the family's involved in it. Or I'm guarantee you the Beatles movie is going to have the Beatles involved in it. You know, I would hope it would, but they're not going to make that seem like a negative. Oh, you know, Paul McCartney was involved in the movie, you know, or Yoko was involved in the movie, or the Harrison estate was involved in the movie. It's like, it's only for us that they make it seem like we're intervening on what really happened, or what their narrative is, or what they want to tell. And so, kind of done with that. Okay. What is the greatest lesson, life lesson fatherhood has taught you so far? Through a child's heart, I think, you know, like the song, I'm blessed by my kids that I'm getting a second chance of living vicariously through them and understanding them and like their innocence. And it's made not only me better, it's given me hope for certain things in life, because this world sucks. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you turn on social media, this world, people are selfish and greedy and all from, and it's like, I still have to believe there's good people in this world and stuff like that. And so that faith of believing in good people and it comes from my daughters, basically, and understanding them and their heart and knowing that they're part of that future. And as long as they're alive, they can change. I'm teaching them they can change, because, you know, in a naive way, but actually a Jackson way, you know, Jacksons are changers. Jacksons are people that can bring positivity to the world. That's our superpower. And I try and be by example, because I'd want them to be attracted to a guy. Nah, I didn't say me, but attracted to a guy that had my personality traits, funny, or, you know, a good person, someone that believed in people, that was there for people, that stood up for certain things. Like, I want them to. I'm trying to be a good role model for them. Okay. I think we have one more question. Ooh, 3T question. Will 3T be recording a new song album anytime soon? That's a very good question. Will we return? 3T, I would say yes. I'm biased, but I obviously love 3T. I love 3T for a lot of different reasons. More importantly now, because of my dad's passing, and my dad wanted us back, you know, as brothers doing 3T. Balancing a couple of things, obviously, you know, the series and stuff like that. But one of the things I realized with 3T was that publicity-wise, 3T helps me get on shows, especially promoting Michael and promoting when I'm going to be promoting this series. As my 3T card helps a lot in that way, especially if I'm famous in certain countries. I can talk about that 3T card can get me on TV to talk about the series that I don't expect any other help from. We'll be pleasantly surprised if it happens. I want it to happen. I want this to be marketed everywhere, and maybe, you know, the place that picks it up will do that. But I just learned never to count on that. That shouldn't be something to count on in general. And just so that you guys know, this is the last thing I'll say on the series thing. It's not going to be at the end of this year. It's going to be next year. I would look for it next year, to be honest, with everything that's happening with the Michael thing and just timing wise. I don't want to rush it to the point, but I don't want it to also be a year after that. That's way too long. And it also doesn't fit in with the timing of this movie, which I think there's a good time scenario right now where people are coming off the movie, learning about Michael, learning about the lies and stuff like that, where we could take advantage of that and correct some wrongs in there as well. But yeah, that's pretty much.
Did everybody hear that? Did everybody hear what Todd
Well,
said?
For me in general, I'm probably going to do another live stream about that. This live stream was about my birthday.
Yeah.
And I've also tried to keep things more positive because last year and a half, prior to the movie coming out, there's a flip right before the movie came out where people were just still like believing the BS, and then right before the movie came out, like almost like this awakening of Michael's innocence. And I can tell you, as someone that has 3 kids and has to deal with parents and the school system and everything like that, it's such a blessing when people actually know the truth. In general, I went into defending my uncle, in 2019 because Taylor was 2 months old, but I also I said, I don't want her growing up in a world where she's ridiculed for being a Jackson because of her uncle. I'm like, that's not fair. She deserves to know how great her uncle was, and that should be the only narrative she deals with. And I tell you that because of people that have fought in the trenches, the fandom and stuff like that, the ones I've seen there that I'm internally grateful for, Taylor is proud of her uncle, highly proud. On days where she gets to dress up like a celebrity, she dresses up like Michael. And one of the days they got to go to the Grammy Museum, and I'm proud of it, but all on the bus, she's like, she kept saying her uncle was Michael Jackson, her great uncle was Michael Jackson, and part of me would be like, Taylor, don't boast and all that, but we fought for this, and that's if the tides were turned, she would have to live with that, and she would have to deal with that. So I just have a different mindset now, guys. I really do. She should be proud of it. Her uncle was amazing.
Imagine being able to say that. Like, that's crazy in itself. Like, yes, my uncle's Michael Jackson. What?
By her saying it, it makes me feel like surreal. It's surreal to me because for me, I've always felt like I won the lottery. But when my daughter gets to say it too, it's like I realize that we're lucky guys, and lucky because our family changed the world, and that's the difference of it. Because you take any one of our family members, and whether it's they inspired people, they help people, they got people through things. Yes, my uncle was, the big, as people would say, the big magnet of that scenario. But it started with my family, and so I always say there's something, we have that responsibility to keep that going as well. So, another last thing, and this was a question, but I'm going to touch on it again. Please urge people to help to get Thriller to #1 in honor of and justice for some, especially with the recent biopic hype and surge in Michael's streaming numbers. Yes, I agree, and we are going to do that. We're going to need radio's help. That's the thing. That's the trick of it. And this year is going to be probably more feasible and more possible because it's not so weird for us to call a radio station and say, can you play Thriller? When it used to be, about a year ago, people were like, why are we playing Thriller? But now, but radio counts for a lot, and the radio stations count for a lot. And I personally would love to have a radio station, U.S. radio stations, kind of have like a Thriller commitment, thing where they play it a certain amount of times a day, maybe 3 times a day. It doesn't even have to be a lot, just because those plays depend on the reach of that radio station, help a lot, because radio still counts for a lot in chart position. So that was the one missing ingredient that we had besides the estate helping was radio play. So if we can get that going, maybe a Kiss FM or whatever to do that, we can possibly get Thriller to #1, which would be.
I feel like it's going to be different this year because of the movie, because it's already been streaming so much that when actually Halloween in October comes around, I think it's going to take off even more. So I'm hoping that this year, especially for AJ.
For AJ, I would love that. I mean, that would be the beautiful conversations that we had, prior to that, and also this. I'm smiling because the strategic ones. I'm not going to mention any artists, but she would always get upset about a certain artist releasing something in Halloween time period to keep us out of #1. And I smile because her voice comes loud and clear through that. But we can do this, and I would love to do it for her. Obviously for Michael too, but now I have more incentive to do it for her than for Michael, if that makes sense. For her, for Michael, it would have been a nice stat and a feather in the cap, but for her, it's like it was her mission, and I would
way more meaningful.
Yeah, I would love to continue on that mission for her and her daughters. Yeah. All right, I think I've done all the questions, guys. I at some point I start getting sick of hearing myself talk. Which a lot of my friends know that. But I do want to appreciate you. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you too for joining me on this crusade because
on your birthday.
On my birthday.
Yes.
Pulling the birthday card to get some help. But I will be doing another live stream sooner than later to address what I call a blessing. The writing history is a blessing to me because I still am so fortunate that I'm in a position to be important enough to be able to do this for my uncle, and knowledgeable enough to be able to do this for my uncle, in general, because this is a 1-2 punch. This is something that is not only important, but I know for sure the media is not going to let Michael just be Michael, and whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they're going to come back swinging with some lie or whatever, and we'll be there ready for them. But the good thing about this will be that the narrative will already be set, that there'll be a lot of TikTokers and younger people that know the truth now.
And you have so many people out there going to back you and going to promote it and just going to share it everywhere. It
needs to be, the real story needs to be told in that aspect of it. Michael Jackson was taken advantage of. Michael Jackson, even if you go into the court aspect of it and the RV sales, Michael Jackson's niceness was taken advantage of. That's why he was in that situation. Or I should say naivety, aspect of it. Because if Gavin hadn't been dying or wasn't sick, then there would have been that opening scenario to lure Michael, and that's the thing. And so it was his charitable niceness that opened that door. It stinks because I never want to be cold or never want to be like my uncle should have been different, because that's what made him who he was, and I actually is why I love him and idolize, as one of my idols, is because of that niceness, because of the almost getting shot in the back or stabbed in the back, I should say, so many different times, but still having that heart of gold, you know, where it's like, I don't know how he functioned and did that, but that's what made him him.
Yeah.
So, but I
I'm
appreciate
excited for it. I'm excited for the world to see it. I'm excited. I'm just excited.
I'm excited for them to see it too, because it'll be a lot off my back in that way.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
in general, a lot of pressure and pressure. I don't mean pressure in terms of like, oh, can I pull it off or whatever. I just mean pressure in general. It's just like anything that you're ready to release and excited to do or whatever. Like, I'm sure the movie had a lot of pressure, you know, in the beginning,
Mhm.
and then once people saw it, then it was like, oh, the pressure is off.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
It'll be good.
It's exciting. I have incredible people helping me. You know, 2 of them on the screen right now. You know, in general. So it's not only that I got good people. I got people that believe in not only in Michael's innocence, but the energy and the frequency aspect to it too. And then I got, you know, yeah. So a lot of professional people. That's all I can say. I'm not saying too much. All right. Thank you guys.
Great things take time, people, but it will be worth it.
Oh, it will be. Yeah. Because it's gonna be forever, guys. And that's when I appreciate something like a Square One, because Square One, when it came out, but you can watch it today and it's still great. You can watch it now. You know, it's not like it's not relevant anymore. So I say that because if you do something well intentioned and good, it's informative forever. So that's it. Unlike not mentioning stuff, you know, Finding Neverland or something like that, or one of those. Which
Leaving, yeah.
I know.
Oh, I was like, you did that on purpose, yeah. I was gonna say, we won't talk about it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Yes. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Those, where it was done to, you know, with no integrity aspect. So,
yeah.
All right, I've talked myself out. Oh my
favorite thing is, are they going to make a follow-up to it? Is it going to be a part 2? I've seen people ask that. It's like, boy, did you miss something?
Just ignore that question then. Bye-bye.
Isn't it crazy? But we were smart. We did not publicize. You know, we I think the fandom has really just learned how everything works, and I think that's I think they've underestimated us to that point. But you know, that's what gets me excited, is that this is the time. You know, they've tried Epstein crap, you know, Epstein lies in general, and that generation, we just, you know, we're armed with the truth, and we're quick.
Well, and when Writing History comes out and goes on wherever it's going, there's going to be so many people promoting it that other things that have come out recently on streaming platforms weren't really promoted, and no one really knew they were coming out. So I just think that once, you know, things start happening, it'll just be up.
Yeah. And don't forget, it's a series. That's another thing that I'm trying to get it out there, you know, because a Facebook thing or post, whatever, that was not me or from an interview that I did, you know, but I had to, you know, now address. It's like, I was happy with what it was saying, because, you know, it was true, you know, and I'm, you know, it is Final Cut, and it is something that I didn't, you know, I'm sick of what other people have, you know, that narrative and stuff, and I'm taking control of the narrative. All that was great. I was like, whoa, that's really good. But yeah, the documentary aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know. All right, guys. I just checked. I'm on 5%. Well, that's still a lot, but we're gonna say bye to everyone, and I'm gonna end my stream. And I just want to say thank you, guys.
Thank you, and happy birthday again. I'm glad you're having a vacation and with your family. And
yeah, I just so that you guys know, I did some. This is probably I took a trip, and I did it out of a vacation, and I've never taken a vacation really. And I said I got to be selfish and for my birthday and for my family. I got to do something selfish, and I'm so happy I did. In general,
Good.
so
You deserve
that's
it.
it. Well, that's for debate, but thank you for saying that. I'm happy you said that.
Tell
Thank you,
your
guys.
beautiful wife that I said hello.
I will. Take care, guys. Thank you again for being on the show.
Bye. Thank you.